Yeah. So the thing that Emily's referring to as far as the 12-week transformation, again, if the audience has never heard of this, this is your first time finding us, or you've heard it before and you want some clarification, it's a program we built on a membership site. So patients get a username and a password. They log into like a website, and there's videos and content in a sequential order. So week 1, they have content that is made available to them. Week 2 content only becomes available after they've been opted in for 7 days after a week. So now week 2 opens, and then week 3 and so forth, all the way to 12 weeks. That's why it's called the 12-week transformation. And then there's a full exercise library that they have access to throughout the entire thing that Emily was referring to, that the way that we structure this with a patient, just to kind of give you a brief overview for those of you listening to this and wondering, how do we program out exercises? How do the doctors communicate to the staff and we all speak the same language? One, we created our own language. So we have a language that we all learned, we created it, and it makes it really quick for us to be able to tell you, here's what I want you to do for the next 15 minutes with the patient, or here's what I want their 45-minute visit to consist of. Yeah. Like we can map that out in like 10 seconds. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you just say a few words and I'm like, I know exactly what we're doing today.
Yep.
Like work on D2. Okay. I know exactly what we can do.
Yep. D2, which is thoracic. So D is dysfunction. I'll just kind of start it from here. Day 2, not D2, but day 2, we do a movement assessment. The movement assessment, which we created, it's a extrapolation of the functional movement screen and the selective functional movement assessment. Both of those things take way too long, and I think are just way too hard to apply to what we're doing in a chiropractic clinic. So we built our own movement assessment. We borrowed stuff from there. We added some stuff. We removed some stuff. We call it the Move All 3. So we do Move All 3. Takes about, how long would you say?
15, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Sometimes like if someone's coming in, I don't want to say super functional because not everyone's going to be tip top shape. Sometimes I can get it down to 12 if they're not really communicating with me, or like they're pretty well, I don't know how to put it in like
they're pretty athletic or coordinated.
Yeah. If they're pretty coordinated that way, it can take me 12 minutes. But if, like a lot of our like auto accidents, I can take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes because I want to make sure that, we're hitting.
It's all dialed in. Everything's recorded properly. Yeah. Yep. So on average, like I'll tell a patient 12 to 15 minutes. I guess some can take 20. I didn't even realize it takes 20 for some people, but
for some people,
I assume it could, especially if they're super dysfunctional everywhere, because you get a lot more stuff to break out. So anyway, they go through a movement assessment. They record all that information. They do that. Patient sees us as the chiropractor for the adjustment end of things. We then get a movement assessment score sheet. Okay. Just a Move All 3. What do we call it? I don't know. Is there a special name for it? I'm drawing a blank of the actual scoring sheet that you use to go through the assessment.
It's just level 1 and level 2 assessment that you guys get.
All right. We just call it level 1, level 2. So anyway, that's filled out. That's given to us. And then us as the doctor, in my case, I have Jenna as my assistant. Dr. Zach does the solo, and we map out the care recommendations using a rec card. You heard Emily talk about this earlier, the rec card. We then hand the rec card off actually to Danny. Danny then builds the financial based on that. And Jenna, my assistant, she maps out the wellness score, which is inside of Cash Practice, both these things, the care plan calculator for the financial, wellness score, the care plan calculator. We have a couple different pieces we put together. We'll cover that elsewhere. And then we do our appointments virtually for day 2 and 3. That's kind of a new thing. We've done multiple conversations on that. We have a whole program that Danny and I are finishing up right now to put out on like all the step-by-step of how to do virtual appointments, because it's huge. I don't do any X-ray review in person. I don't do any care plan recommendations, financial stuff in person. That's all done through Zoom here in my home office that Emily's seen for the first time. She sees now where it actually goes on.
Yep.
And so anyway, then that recommendation card is not just used for Danny to build the financial stuff, but then clinically it goes on to Emily, it goes on to attraction department, so that the rest of the staff can look at that to see what to be able to carry out with the patient.
Yep.
Right. Then now a patient has their next 12 weeks of care mapped out. And the 12 weeks is going to be the stuff they do in the exercise department. In our case, because we do spine remodeling traction, what they do in traction, their home care, their checkpoints of when they check in, or they get a repeat a movement assessment in 4 weeks because they're super acute and everything was bad on day 2. So we need to look at it again. Or do we repeat it halfway into their care at 6 weeks? And then right before 12 weeks before we take a comparative x-ray, do we also take a movement assessment there? In most cases we do.
Yeah.
What's their home care? We map out their home care. We show it to them. Any manual therapy techniques we're going to do. What else? I mean, that's pretty much encompassed. Oh, and now because we have the treadmill set up too.
Oh yeah, we're going to start incorporating like a treadmill part to the rec card. So that way I think it's might just end up going down like the notes section.
Well, because like currently, because I've been mapping out a lot of treadmill setups lately. I think Jenna just writes it in by hand on the rec card.
Yeah, she does.
And so for those of you two that haven't heard or seen what this is, it's from Stroops. It's pretty awesome. It's a self-propelled treadmill, so it's not like motorized, but the patient actually has to walk to move it. So that's not a new thing. But what's new about it is that there's a 3-dimensional frame that's built around it that we bolted into the concrete floor in this other room. And then there's a variety of straps and various pulls and things you can do on a patient while they stand on there. So if someone's got a right thoracic translation or they're listed over to the right, we can pull them further to the right, and that signals them to then resist that and pull back to neutral. And now they're walking and they're essentially correcting their posture while they're reprogramming the motor control aspect in their brain of where the body should be with movement. Or someone's got a upper cross syndrome, or big flexed thoracic spine, forward head translation, rounded shoulders. We can reverse that, make them have to retract their shoulders and stand upright and get tall and walk, and reprogram their brain. That's another part of what they're doing on a visit. So in a nutshell, that's what they do. That's the process of what we map out. Now, the thing that I think is really cool and compelling to chiropractors out there is like Emily is someone that came in, did not have any exercise background. She learned all this stuff and she runs that whole department. She can run circles around, I think, most exercise people out there because she knows how to juggle with different patients, how to keep them occupied, how to progress people so they're not doing the same exercise every single visit. That's baked into our system. We don't do that. We progress them. She knows how to progress them. We have a tracking system of making it easy so that the patient also knows that they're doing something different. They look at the board.
Yep.
And they see on the board, oh, today there's new exercise on there. What am I doing today? And you're like, glad you asked. Let me show you. Yeah. Right?
That's exactly what happens.
Right. Thanks for watching this clip from the Move Now Chiropractor podcast, and be sure to join our free Facebook group, Functional Movement for Chiropractors, to learn more about how Move Now University can help you with your systems and your clinical practice. Be sure to watch our 30-minute pre-recorded demo at demo.movenowu.com. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.